today I'm honored to have a friend and fellow, I was going to say hybrid hero, but she's actually a hybrid shiro from Discover Heroes, Carol Schlintz. And Carol also has her own site at mindworksdreams.com, and we'll have that up at the end of the video. So Carol, welcome.
Thank you.
So let me put it simply, Carol. What inspires you, how do you find inspiration, and how do you transform that into a finished product?
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you about what has inspired me most recently, because it's probably not what will inspire me forever. But it's a recent story. At Thanksgiving, I shot our family. I have grandchildren, my kids were here, my parents were here, they're in their 80s, so seeing the little ones interacting with the great-grandparents, it was awesome. It was the first time in probably 5 years or more that I took a camera out at a family function. So what inspired me to do that? The answer that day was my new gear. Now, everybody likes shiny new toys, but it wasn't really that. When I thought about what it was, my new gear is, at the time, was a Lumix GH2. I've since gotten my GH3, which is even more inspirational. But it wasn't the gear itself as much as I love new toys. In retrospect, in thinking about it, it was the fact that my great big DSLR was out of my way. I didn't realize for those 5 years that it was in my way. I do know, again, looking back, hindsight, that there were times when I'd go, oh, that light, that's so pretty. Was I shooting? Nope, unless it was a regular paid job. The camera was staying where it was. It was a big deal to drag it out and set it up and do what I needed to do or wanted to do. And certainly at family gatherings, when I first got my gear, my original DSLR gear, it was a big deal to take it out and take family pictures. The shine wore off really quickly. And I found myself at Thanksgiving making little movies and seeing the almost one-year-old walking around the edges of the furniture in her diaper, you know, because she'd already gone through 3 outfits. She's almost 1. But she was so cute, and not just because she's my grandchild, but as I look back now, and, you know, I've gone through and I've done little edits and I've looked at what I captured, I realized how much fun I was having shooting a little child and shooting my parents interacting with the children, and something that I haven't done in years. So for me, it was the removal of something that I didn't even know was an encumbrance. I didn't even think once that my beloved Nikon gear was in my way. But in the end, it was in my way. So much so that for years and years, I passed on opportunities to do cool, fun stuff with and for my family. I mean, whose pictures matter more to me in the whole world than theirs? The only time I've shot my family, except for Thanksgiving this year, before that, was when they came to the studio because they wanted a portrait session. And so I was totally inspired by the lightness and the freedom of a small set of gear that I could just pick up and shoot the turkey, and 10 minutes later go and do a little portrait session outside with the grandkids and my parents, and an hour later be taking little movies of the littlest one trying to figure out the whole walking thing around the living room. It was not only amazing, it was so amazing that I started thinking, wow, why didn't I? Oh, that's why. Yeah, it was too big, too much muss and fuss. And now I find myself volunteering more for like our local chamber because, again, I don't have to drag out the great big gear, and it's not this big. And that's in the way of me actually talking and networking. Now my camera's so small, it's almost invisible when I'm just networking. And when it's time for that ribbon cutting or to get a little movie of something important going on, it's just, you know, right there, and off I go. So for me, it was removing something I didn't even know was an impediment, and I don't know, shooting lighter and faster, and then add video into that. Not only is it a bright, shiny new toy, but it has video I can actually do and use. So that's like another whole world just opened up, and that's an inspiration, all that new stuff.
Excellent, thanks. I have to be honest, I was not expecting your story to be so similar to mine. You know, I'm 6'1", I'm a big guy, I've got big hands. I naturally assumed that I needed a big camera. As a matter of fact, my last camera body was in fact large, heavy metal, so because it had heft and that would work for me. My new one, my new Sony, is so light, and you're right. It's not that it's a great joy to pull it out. It's not. It's not a hassle.
Yeah, and it's not between you and your subject. I did a baby shoot probably a month ago by now, and at 5 months old, they're just hitting that age where they're thinking about being stranger shy. They're not so sure yet. Mm-hmm. And then you aim that great big camera at them. That can freak little ones out. But that little camera really kind of was invisible between us because I could peek around it so easily, and I could hold it with one hand. It was just an amazing thing, the way that small gear gets out of the way and lets my creativity just sort of do it. It isn't just about how big and heavy it is, it's about the hassle and that big piece of gear between me and my client.
And how mobile it is, too. I find when I'm at family gatherings now, because my kids are 5 and 3, we have friends who are around the same age, or we have kids around the same age, and I find that to get around that, too, I can also shoot from the hip, and because my camera is much lighter, it's not a big problem to hold it down, and so I can get at their level, at their eye level, and not get a lot of the camera shake.
Yep. Well, and on mine, the GH2 and 3 both have that adjustable LCD.
Yep.
So I can actually aim it up at me while I have the camera down low shooting and not have to be in a pretzel position in order to get the shots that I want. The whole experience is inspiring, and I am shooting more than I've shot for a very long time because of it. And now, do I expect that to be the deal forever? No, I'll probably get used to the fact that I'm going to shoot a lot, and maybe I'll hit one of those slumps you mentioned.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm just in the total glow of, I can do that. I can do that right now because it's so fast and easy, and I'm loving it.
Excellent. Carol, thanks so much for your time. It's been fantastic. I love hearing your story. And look for more of these stories on shoothybrid.com. They'll also be available through Discover Mirrorless. Again, Carol Schlintz from MindWorksDreams.com. Carol, thanks for hanging out. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me, Rob. It's been a blast.